Hey, Tony and Jay back at you, and Tony Talks Trash about music here. We're handling Led Zeppelin Part 2 here, which is the best songs, our favorite songs. We have 15 songs that we looked at. I thought 10 was too few, but couldn't get up to 25, so 15, 20, not much difference between that, man. What were you saying about Jay when you putting together this list here? You were talking a
I
little
was
bit.
saying it was kind of difficult when I was trying to pick out songs because when I used to listen to Zeppelin, I normally listened to like a whole side of an album, and that'd be a whole different pick. So when I went through, I was like concentrating on, okay, these would be the songs I would put on my mixtapes or the ones I'd be hoping they played in concert. Or so
Yeah.
yeah, I got my top 15 songs now, my sides. But like I said, it might came out kind of weird, but it's my 15 top songs
Well, I
because I left some out.
hard to put together 15. I mean, it's like I say, tomorrow might be a different order, might be a different thing. At least the ones that have always been the ones that I find out that a lot of it are songs I'm mesmerized harmonically by like what they're doing. Like a
What I
lot of people
noticed.
said, like you said, like Kashmir is like a lot of people saying it's not on my. I didn't make my
No.
list either. I like it, but it certainly didn't. It's not all that. It may, in a lesser sense, represent one of those overrated things. In my opinion, that.
But like I said, I did my 15 songs and I was amazed at the albums I totally omitted.
Yeah, me too.
And I thought, well, I like that album. Then I got to thinking, yeah, but pick a song from it. Like, well, no, I usually pick sad one or two.
That's
But
funny.
okay.
I was saying, that's the one thing I was saying, and I don't think that we mentioned that, and I think we should. I think there's a hell of a lot of similarities in how it hits you between Physical Graffiti and Exile on Main Street. They're
Mm-hmm.
both album track type of things. Neither of them have like a big hit single, but it's on the bulk of the strength of them all that the kind of the reputation is. And I never
Yeah.
thought of it until after we got off the thing the other day, and I said, and I was putting the records away. I'm like, man, that's I never
Yeah.
thought
When
of
you
that.
listen to Exile, you're down in that basement with them.
Yeah,
South of France.
yeah, it's very much a whole environment type of a thing, and I kind of get the feeling sometimes with the Zeppelin, even though it was done in different times, it kind of takes you to their own little place or whatever. So, give me your top 15 songs, man.
Okay,
Your
we gonna
top
start at the
places.
bottom.
Yeah, Ed
Okay.
Zeppelin, the top 15 of the great.
Okay, my number 15 is it's a popular radio song, Whole Lot of Love, just for the
All right.
sonic, bam to bam, you got the drums, and it's just, it's rock and roll Led Zeppelin. That's my number 15.
Yeah, you can usually tell which it's if you ever hear that blaring out. And when I was young, if a song like that you're going through the radio dials, you're coming into town for the concert. The moment you hear that, you usually keep it on that still. Here's a rock station.
Exactly, even now. Because like Zeppelin was mainly, I mean, they didn't put out that many singles, did they? It was like mainly an album band. You had to find them. I know that was one of those bands, Actually, my first exposure, of course I had Led Zeppelin 4, but you gave me every Led Zeppelin album up to that point. I think it was in 76, and you recorded them on 8 track. It was just
Crazy.
too much. It
Far
was
back
too
we were
much.
going. That's before cassettes were trading. Yikes, man.
So what's your
My number.
15?
I'm going to go opposite, man. I got a feeling you're going to be a little heavier than me on this. My number 15. 15. I'm going to go from Led Zeppelin 4. That acoustic mandolin thing called "The Battle of
Yeah.
Every." Love that thing. I like the way it gives a good pacing to the record, the way it sets off before when the levee breaks and all that goes. So I love it, man, and I just think it's an interesting thing, and it doesn't follow a straight song format either. The way the song goes. So that's my 15.
Okay, well, my number 14, right, when you said I was going to go heavy, it's probably going to blow your mind because my number 14 is Fool in the Rain
All
off of
right.
Into the Outdoor. And I just love that, Caribbean feel. It's like I always think that was Jonesy's and Plant's album. But, yep, my number 14 is Fool in the Rain. I know it gets a lot of, in fact, a lot of people say that's Led Zeppelin. I had no idea. When that
Well,
comes on the radio,
that
I'll like switch the dial.
that snare drum stuff that
Yeah.
plunge you shuffle beat. That's man. That's great. Number 14 for me is going to be, we're going to go back to Led Zeppelin 2. We're kind of hitting the same record so far, I think. Of number 14, What Is and What Should Never Be. I always like it, but the contrast. that was long before the Nirvana hot, cold, the and the lights in the back, a lot loud, soft thing. But this is an example of it a long time before and done in a more jazzy, tasty way. So that's my number 14. What is and what should never be from Zep 2.
Hey, just real quick side point. My son and his friend were here. They're both 27, and my son's friend, he said he was getting into Zeppelin. He said, "Can I see your top 15?" When he looked at it, he said, "I only recognize 3 songs." So he took a picture of it. So he's fucking gonna be back in research. Okay, my number 13's not very heavy either. It's Gallows Pole.
Oh
I
my
just
God.
always like the story, Hangman, Hangman, and the way it goes around. But
Yeah, I think it's number 16 for me. That just missed mine.
yeah,
That was one of the ones, the last one that I said, what do I put in? What do I like better? That's a great one, man. That's got momentum and there's a lot of integrity in
that's
the
not
in
when
the
it's slow and fast. I think
Yeah.
that's that's one of those. At least the storyline's probably been in a zillion folk songs and everything. The guy's going to the hangman's noose and what's going through his mind, but they did it, in Zepp style. I like a lot of the Zeppelin acoustic and the way they melded, not really country bluegrass, but you know what I mean, that Celtic sort of, soft side to themselves too. But that was my number 13, Gallows Pole.
All right, my number 13 is going to take us back to Rick Hill at the Armory, man, and the only mellow song they ever played, dum da da dun dun da dun 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 da da dun dun. Thank you from Led Zeppelin 2, the only slow song. But I first heard that played up at the Armory by those guys. They had the keyboard guy.
Wow, I never knew they did it because this is
They
going to
did
blow your mind.
great.
I have
I
that on
went
this too.
to that.
And my number 12 is because of the same band, my memories of the Armory days, dancing days. I
Oh
can
my
still remember playing dancing days up there. Dancing days are here again. And it was like, wow, this is different. They were playing like,
yeah.
BTO and all the rock songs, even the Stones and all that. And then they would get to this. It got me thinking, wow, that's just, a little world music thrown in there. But yep, dancing days. And
And
actually,
I
I have
like those
Thank You on my list too.
and really one of the touches to that you're going to say, you being the keyboard fan, was that brassy kind of thing that kind of
Oh, yeah.
you couldn't really pick out well from the guitar, that dan and dan
Yeah.
out that they playing with Page. That was like a brass, sort of an organy brass sort of a sound that worked great
And
on that.
actually,
He's a keyboard,
yeah,
right?
and I dug on that song for a long time, and I only heard it when Windfall was playing it, and I had no idea it was Led Zeppelin because it was so. I just didn't connect that sound in that song to Led Zeppelin at the time. I guess I
Windfall.
didn't have the album.
Oh, Jim,
Windfall.
Jim Roderick. I wanted to get Jim on this to do Steely Dan with me, but his
Yeah.
wife just died. He's a good
Oh,
guy,
well,
man.
that's my
Oh,
number
Jim,
12, Dancing Days.
if we keep playing our cards right, we might on the next record get Jim to play some on
Oh,
our
cool.
next record. Really good. All right, man. Number 12 for me. I'm going to go the opposite way. I'm going to go to the song that purportedly was written about Jimmy Page's obsession with Lori. Whatever the girl's name was, it was a young
Louis
girl.
Maddox. Louis
Maddox.
Maddox. Yeah, one of
Number
the
12, the last song,
groupies, famous ones.
last song on Physical Graffiti. Sick again, man. This is all about their affairs, evidently back and forth. Plant took it and since you dug me since you were 13.
Yeah,
I just love the
yeah.
drumming. It's so
I'm glad.
confident and so rambling, man. It's so
I'm
cool.
glad when I was in my 20s there wasn't women willing to do anything I asked them to. That's it's just
Well,
like, I'm glad. Okay,
well,
man. And
uh,
man, the more I look now, once you accuse me, I was probably going to go heavy. I end up that way, but now my number 11 is Going to California. I think that's
oh
all,
my,
isn't it?
we're on the
Man,
same. We got it on the same album.
yeah. Once again, it's that acoustic and like light plant music. And I can remember back in the days, I can remember like Donald Miller and someone was the only people I knew from Kaiser that had actually been to California. The land of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60, because I was 10 years old in '69. And it's just like
Oh,
California to me was maybe I'll
well, that
go someday.
was happening too. So it was kind of, you got a little bit of it was like, wow, everything's there. You better be prepared for it. My number 11 is funny. It's going this way, man. My number 11 is going to be what's known as pretty much a pretty mellow song, and for some reason I keep hitting two. Man, Ramble On, number
I
11. Be my number
like
11.
that one.
I just love the song. I love the
Oh,
guitar
when it
playing.
kicks in, Rimmel. Dun,
Yeah,
dun, I'm a sucker for like that slow dynamic, then it kicks in hard. From
yeah,
Nirvana to Zeppelin to all them. I mean, Jethro Tull. You start me out with a little acoustic, then kick in with the electric guitar solo. You got me.
you got it, man. That's my number 11. Top
Okay,
10.
my number
Uh,
10 is from Led Zeppelin 4 again. It's When the Levee Breaks. And I think
uh,
I just love that drum bang.
I
It's just
love
like it sort of drones on and your head. I just love that song.
it. Now.
Yeah, I'm hearing it now in my head. I don't want to imitate it. But oh my gosh, John Bonham.
I won't help you. Pray.
is
You know, God, I love
is
it.
that that's not a remake, but I think there was another song that was
Yeah,
close to
that
that too. Levee.
they stole from somebody, of course.
Yeah, I
My
mean they
yeah,
borrowed.
yeah. My number 10, my number 10 is going to be a really mellow one. Probably the most mellow one you'll think from Led Zeppelin 3. That's the Way. The mellow song
Oh,
from the
wow.
second song in the middle of this thing. That's the way.
Yeah.
I just love the sound of the guitar with that flange. I love that record especially. And to me it's representative as a number 10 of the chances they took on that record. We talked a lot about it in our countdown. It was a different and they really went out on a limb to do that. But yeah, so that kind of represents that at number 10 for me.
Okay, my number 9. I'm getting into the, everybody knows he's Living Loving May, just because it was, one of the heaviest songs back then. And plus, it had that beat, living, dun, and then I loved how it went to that break in the middle, and change. But oh my gosh, I used to play that in the apartment out in college and just crank it.
Dude, we've hit
Like,
almost every two. We've hit almost two is like ended up a major favorite more than the ranking was the album. It's funny. I got kind of
yeah.
burn on it. All right, number 9. I'm going to go for quantity over. I'm going to go for quantity and quality, and I'm going to go heavy. And the guitar workout that we all talked about is the dividing line of why people like Presence, why they don't, and that's the great Achilles stand in the mighty arms of Atlas.
Yeah.
From the earth.
And
This,
that album got short shipped for me just by when it came out in the time of my life. Some of these albums I bought when I was going home and sitting, laying in my bed, at 10 o'clock listening on headphones. And then the others came out when I was getting my life together and going to job interviews and stuff.
talk, yeah, you talked about that place up in Tri-Towns. I remember buying
Yeah,
a
HP Record
rest
Runner.
that store up there by the theater up there in Tri-Towns. That's
The HP Record Runner, they had one aisle dedicated to records. It was the only place you could get them in town.
I love it.
Okay, my number 8, and
Eight.
continuing, yep, is Communication Breakdown. And once again, I go from Living, Loving, May to Communication Breakdown. Just it was just the zap when you wanted to put something hard on and heavy and stick it on your mixtape or something to party go crazy. But Communication Breakdown. I mean, you had
Yes, sir.
Plant's voice playing off on Page's guitar. It was unreal.
Yeah, but we play, like you say, we played catch up, but I couldn't imagine like being back in 68,
Oh, I
69,
know.
putting that
But
out and
seeing that,
putting that on, given what was on there, then you're like, my God, what is this?
seeing that tour when they played in Boston,
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
1,000 people.
Wow.
It always amazed me those bands that got huge, and you look back and when you could have seen them, and they're in like
Yeah.
the stage is level with where you were, but like we
You
were
never.
talking about, it's
I'm
oh well.
going to number 8. I'm going to go to a side ender. I'm going to go to the end of the first side. Oh my Jesus! In my time of dying, the long
Wow.
down, 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 down. Everybody's heard different versions of this. They claim writing on it, but it is a traditional old song that even the White Stripes and stuff covered. But it's in my
Yeah.
time. I just think it's Jesus going to make in my dying bed or whatever the whole
Hmm.
song was called. But yeah, Jesus is a dying bed maker, whatever the song was called. Fantastic number 8. Love them, love it. Steeped in tradition, and they did it proudly, even though they claim to rip it, do it themselves. That's my number 8.
Okay, my number 7 made my top 10, and we already discussed it, but it's a real slow one. Thank you. I love that song too. If I was going to pick, it's weird. A lot of my songs are slow and like that, but when Zeppelin did that, they slowed it down and had the little, as my brother called it, the jingly jangly noise in the back. It's like, I'm a
What's
sucker.
in our 60s now, we're not too afraid to say this, and so people go, what you know. My number,
Always.
yeah, go ahead, man, go ahead.
No,
What do you say?
I'm fine. My number seven's Thank You.
Okay, my number 7, I'm going to go stay with Physical Graffiti, and we're going to go with the song, and I think it was from later, House of the Holy or something. I'm talking about the second song, The Rover, the song
Oh,
off of Physical Graffiti. I just always like dun 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 dun. Bow, bow, bow. I like the riff. I thought it was a great riff. And like all Led Zeppelin songs, that's it. As long as what for me, Led Zeppelin, I hate to say this, and I'm not being this to shrill anybody. I don't like usually high vocals, like real high shrill vocals, like King Diamond you
King
talked about,
Diamond.
Geddy Lee, even Bob like vocals. But and as long as that's kind of my dividing line on Led Zeppelin. If Plant doesn't annoy
Yeah.
me too much, I a lot of the high vocals, I like it, but I mean, I don't come to see that, man. That's my number 7, man. What's your number 6?
My number 6, we discussed it again, and on your pick is Ramble On. And that's none of that slow dynamic, when it kicks on, boom, 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 Ramble On. It's a great jukebox song, too.
So we got one
I'm
got the
going,
same. Yeah.
yeah. Then we discussed that one. But my number 6 is Ramble On, too.
Number 6, Ramble On. My number 6, I'm going to go to the record that
Well,
I
you're number
told.
5. Oh, yeah, you're number 6. I'm
Yeah, my
sorry.
number 6. My number 6, I'm going to go to Houses of the Holy and pick up. Told you that Houses of the Holy, the two of the ballads are my favorite ones in the world. I'm going to pick the lesser of my two of those, so that means you still got one left. This is the Rain song. I just think I love the way that it builds up, better than the vocal on this song. I think everything's more perfect on No Quarter. But I just love the fact that they weren't afraid to go tackle that in this record. And I think a lot of those ballads are probably why. Because, like you're saying, Dire Maker or Jamaica, whatever you want to call it, was
Yeah,
big, and Days was big. And so and the first song of the song I Had a Dream, that first long one, uh, they're all popular in the ocean, but I think those songs are kind of why maybe people
yeah.
don't like it
You know
as
what's
much.
weird? Yeah, and early on, I didn't hear these songs on the radio. It's like even,
Yeah,
once they started playing classic rock, you heard the old ones. But when we were growing up, like I said, I heard mainly from cover bands playing them at the Armory and hearing it that way rather than on the radio.
yeah, maybe,
Okay,
brother.
I'd say my number 5. I think our top 5 is going to be interesting. Already, I can see where I picked mine from. The first 4 albums, and you're more over the place. But my number 5, and you probably like this, the vocals in this one, the Immigrant Song.
Oh yeah.
So I loved it when I saw the girl with the dragon tattoo, and they opened up with this song.
Well,
I said, that's pretty cool.
though, if you look at this, the drums of this one and the dum 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 and then the Moby Dick. I mean, that was like the Legend of
Oh
John Wall.
yeah. Plus, in my mind, I can see Frank Franzetta pictures,
Yeah.
the ice and
I
snow.
mean, that's just hard to keep up for the whole thing for that drum with that fast little drum, that foot drum thing, man. And you've got your calf is going into freaking, muscle spasms and shit. It's hard to do. Anyway, that's tough. So I've heard people try to do it with a double. It just doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
Number 5 with me. I'm gonna go to another one that's a little controversial. People don't like. I love it because I love the harmonica solo on it. The first song on the second side of Presence. Nobody's fault but mine. Nobody's fault but
I
mine.
do like that song, but Presence
That,
just come
oh
on.
my God. That
I hate
harp
the cover.
solo. Huh?
Didn't hit. I hated the cover too.
You hear the cover? You told me about that. I
Family
love this.
stand.
One of my very,
Which
very
is a
favorite.
dumb reason.
Nobody's
I
fault but Presence. Go ahead.
no. I mean, I've bought albums before. We were talking about the HP record runner because
Yeah.
they put out so few albums. I remember if I had the money and I wanted an album, a new album, I wanted to go home and listen to something. I might have nothing in mind, and I would just pick something. And sometimes I would just pick it by the cover. Got to this point.
I
I'm
know.
getting off track. But my number
No,
4.
yeah, remember the Columbia Record Club, though, man. You could kind of
Oh
take
yeah.
a chance sometimes with that
Oh
stuff.
my God. I joined that like 50 times. I just got to the point where when I was in the military, And over in Spain, I didn't care. I would just like make up names and write them. I couldn't believe they were still sending them to me. And then when I'd get anything in the mail, I would just throw it away. I think I'm just making that up. Okay, my number four is
That's
Good
a
Times, Bad Times. Good times, bad times. It was another song I used to put on my mixtapes all the time. And I probably picked it because, like, this is the Zeppelin song that all the people at my party are going to be familiar with and listen to. And plus, it gets you just in a good mood. But number four,
it's
Good Times, Bad Times.
yeah, it was very early on. They were kind of trying out that their first record
Yeah.
had like routes. Like the second was the longer songs, the blues songs, but then they had
Mhm.
good communication breakdown. And that's good. And Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You were more pop. That's great. I forgot about that one. That's a good one. Number four, I'm gonna hit the song that was covered later by that super band or whatever with Ted Nugent and I don't know why I think that Tommy Shaw and
Yeah.
Sebastian Bach
Damn
out on the
Yankees.
out on the tiles. Uh
Oh, wow, yeah. Nobody's pitch for time.
fabulous. All I want from you, so you love it. Ba-bum, ba-bum. Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na. That I love that riff, the way the out chorus, the way it goes out.
Yeah.
Da-na-na. I was playing that slide. Shit, man, I love it. Number four, Out on the Tiles from Led Zeppelin 3.
Okay, my number three, and I mean, I love this song. I put it on all my mixtapes, and if it comes on anywhere I stop, Tangerine. My
Oh
thing,
yeah,
Tangerine. I just love it. It just puts me in a good mood. Reminds me of us, it just reminds me of all the good times in my life. There, that song.
wow, it's
And
incredible, man. I was wrong about you, man. You're going a little more.
well, wait, you see how I end up.
It's a good one. That one missed mine. I didn't. I admit it wasn't there in the end. Let's go for the. So now that I told you about, the rain song, the first of ballads, let's go to the second one, the greater of the two, the mighty, mighty No Quarter.
Oh,
Oh my God. That to me, when the flange on all that, he's going through that and they play that at the end, No Quarter is and I mean I that's maybe at times it may be my favorite. There's some things where they get into it and they get into a riff and stuff and they've hit the gold mine and that's one of the places. I love this record. I just can't understand somebody that doesn't like No Quarter. No Quarter is mighty. I love it. Number three, man, for me.
okay. I mean, my top three were the easiest ones. I immediately went bam, bam, bam. Tangerine was my number three. My number two is rock and roll. And I
Wow.
know it's like I just like to me, been a long time
Yeah,
since I walked. I remember I was like a little ding dong 11, 12 year old, and I'd walk in with all the attitude I could at the student union over at Potomac State and just stick my quarter in the jukebox and always play that song.
I had to play sometimes in bands. It was hard. It's hard to have the energy to do it because especially as drums.
Rock and roll.
I'm going to
That's
hit
my
number.
number two.
Yeah, my number two, brother, is going to be one that you hit earlier on in your thing, and that's the final song from Led Zeppelin 4, "The Mighty When the Levee Breaks." Man, I
Yeah.
love that. Again, that riff, it's the fade out, it's the Bonham's deep cavernous drums with that toodle.
Yeah,
It's just great, man.
it's one of them songs that carry you along. I
Oh
mean, like
yeah.
you're not turning that off in the middle of it.
Yeah, I remember sitting. As I said, this is one of the ones I remember jaw on the floor when I was 12 years old at my cousin's house in Baltimore. He was playing a big guy, and I never knew it existed before. And I didn't even know what it was. It When I got back home, I researched and I finally found out after about a month of what it was that I'd been listening to because I was too little of a kid to go up to him to say, "Hey, man, what was that you were listening to?" I didn't know what it was, but I figured it out later that it was Led Zeppelin. And wow. And I ended up getting it. It was in among the first few records I got, as I said. It's the first handful of records. That's my number two, When the Levee Breaks. And now for number one, dun,
My
dun.
number one, and I mean, there's no doubt about it, Black Dog. I
Black
love
Dog
Black Dog. Yep,
Yeah.
that's another one I'd always stick on the jukebox, probably with rock and roll, because I think it was the flip side of there. It's just a rock and roll song, man. I just love that, the beat and everything, and like the way Plant's wailing on it.
Did you ever hear a band ever play it good live? It's hard, man. It's
No,
hard
I
to.
never did. I've heard bands butcher it. I've heard them butcher rock and roll too.
Yeah, tried to play it, didn't they? With Ann Wilson or whatever. They did a version of it.
So,
She's got the pipes, man. I saw her at that tour with Todd up at up in Pennsylvania, there in Somerset or whatever that Seven Springs, whatever it is. Man, she was wailing, man. She was deeply singing. At that point, she was kind of heavier, but I mean, she was really letting it go. That's your number one, huh? Well, my
Yep,
number
Black
one,
Dog.
I've alluded to it before, and a lot of it has to do with the prowess, and a lot of it has to do with the construction, and it completely has to do with the guitar playing. And I'm talking about for me the centerpiece of physical graffiti, and that's 10 years gone. The guitar playing, the solos, the overdubs that he does with da 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 da. It's just, to me, I've never dreamed before that song, I would never dream that Jimmy would get that decorative with the guitar, and he kind of did. You know, Kashmir shows traces of it, but to me, the peak of it's 10 years gone. There's some good live versions of it, but it's really hard to do live because he, truthfully, of it, to play live the right way, you've got 5 or 6 guitars doing different things. You have to have all these different parts playing and play it right, and it'd be very hard to play it, as well as he did on the studio record. But to me,
Yeah,
that's the pinnacle of Led Zeppelin to me.
yeah, and some of the songs you alluded to, I might have picked them because once you started talking about them, I knew about them, but I never know what the name of them is because I just listened to them on the
Yeah.
side of the album and then would go. Yeah, that was
But
fun.
something
I'm
about that
happy.
got me, man. I would just love to be able to play. I would love to be something about a fantasy. If I was standing on a, and I hate this, you don't think about this because you and I are making music now, and we're making music. I think it's valid. I think it's good, but I've always had a fantasy of like if I wondered how it would feel to like be able to nail this on stage in front of people, to be able to be the lead guitar player and be able to play 10 years gone to me would be a fucking intense. I mean, I know the song, most of the chords and most of the thing to it, but it is
Yeah.
really a
I'd just
workout.
like to go out on a stage and hit a few chords that are that loud. I think that
Oh
would be
God.
such a
Well,
blast. They could sell that, man. I'd pay $500 to go out there for
Well, you could do,
that
and you
film.
know what's funny. You know what's funny with it is that, as I remember, and everybody wants to shoot that, but I remember the little time that we played at the Monument in Washington D.C., and the moment that we played, I mean, dude, it's not like anything else you've ever. Normally, if you're in a room or in a club or something, I mean, the sound is gone. I mean, it's
Yeah.
comes out of the monitors and it's gone, so it hits
What
you
year did
different.
y'all play?
It was like going into the wind. And I took me to that second or third song until I realized, we might have had a problem with some stuff. And it's
Turn up your
just what,
monitors. What
yeah.
year did you play?
Huh?
What year did you play the Monument?
Oh, I don't remember. It was a thing when we did for DC 101. I know it
Uh,
was in the
I was
late 80s,
there. I was there the
probably
4th of
like
July when. Remember when
Beach
Ronald
Boys.
Reagan came in and said the Beach Boys could play because that
Yeah,
idiot
ours was right.
Secretary of State his thought they were
Yeah,
heavy metal or something.
ours was in the years about that time, but it was a different time. But 101, but I was so surprised with a lot of people. Julio Iglesias was there that
Wow,
day.
oh man, I remember the year I went. It was packed. Ringo Starr played when I was there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know how we got to this, but Led Zeppelin,
Yeah.
it was great. But anyway, I probably got off on a thing talking about this. But anyway, yeah, man. Thanks for your help with this, Led Zeppelin, man. We'll get into some,
Anytime.
and we're gonna come on down the line and hit you guys with something else new next time. So we always appreciate you here. Leave your list, leave your thoughts here, please. We want to see what you're saying. Smash the like button, please. Subscribe if you can, and we would also always appreciate you around for the ride. And we'll catch you guys next time here.
Peace out.
This has been